Hi guys, and welcome to the Doncaster vs Sunderland match preview. So Sunderland do go away from home tomorrow to Doncaster, of course, in the league, hoping to rectify that miserable performance at the Stadium like last weekend against MK Dons, where of course we did lose by 2-1. So for this game, of course, it's going to be a very difficult one. We'll start with Doncaster, talking about them a little bit. For me, their main man is Ben Whiteman, who I'm very impressed with. I think he's a very solid player. He can do a little bit of everything, be it tackling, getting forward, he creates, he can pop up with goals. So he is probably their main man, in my opinion. I'm not too sure whether Doncaster agree, but when I've seen him play, he's always looked very impressive and is very difficult to deal with in the midfield. But in terms of results, it's quite a difficult one with Doncaster because, of course, they are currently, I believe, in 11th, which doesn't really tell the full tale. Well, I suppose it does. But if you have a look at their results, they're beating all the big teams, but struggling against the sort of so-called smaller ones. For example, they've beat Charlton, Ipswich, who they battered 4-1. They've beat Lincoln, who of course were there or thereabouts, but they're struggling against other teams. Like, for example, last time out in the league they drew 2-2 with Wimbledon. They've lost to Plymouth. Other teams amongst there as well where they struggled against, but they've really, they've really brought it to the bigger sides in the league who you'd expect to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. So if you put us, well, hopefully anyway, you may be a bit kindly at the moment, but if you put us within the bracket of a side that are hoping to go for promotion, then I'd expect this to be a really tough battle, particularly away from home at their place. But for us, I think we've made it very easy for teams to do the homework. I did mention it in the review of the last game against MK Dons, where we only have a plan A, get it down the wings, mainly Denver Hume, get it to him, let him brings up the pitch because no one else is doing it. Do you know what I mean? So it makes it very easy for oppositions to do the homework on us. So you'll see in my sort of preferred starting 11, it's an incredibly unrealistic sort of starting 11 or preferred 11, but it's what I would do because, like I've said, there's so many games, particularly the game against MK Dons as well, last time out, where there's so much space in the middle, where I know that we have this plan A of go down the wings, that's fine, but we need something else to rely on. We can't just sit on plan A and not do anything else because it becomes predictable and very easy for defenders or defences and the whole opposition as a whole to defend against. So for me, this is going to be my preferred 11. Again, it's not what I think it's going to be at all because it won't be. But this is what I would use to sort of combat only going down the wings, because I think there's players in this midfield that I'm going to show you now that I believe they won't be able to resist running at defenders. So and at least asking questions of that back line rather than just humping balls into the box by Hume or whoever's on the right hand side or is the right wing back. So this is my preferred starting 11. So firstly in goal, as you can see, we have Lee Burge if he is back from injury. I'm not too sure if he is or not, so if it's Matthews, it's Matthews. Now as the back three, I have Sanderson, Wright and Willis. Now this will probably depend more so if Flanagan is fit or not. I know he's been on international duty, so I'm not sure whether they'll risk him. But if Flanagan's in there, I wouldn't mind instead of Sanderson, to be honest with you, because I think Flanagan's more comfortable on that left-hand side. I just think Willis has that place nailed down. Willis still isn't fully fit, in my opinion, so if it had to come to it, I would prefer Sanderson to be on the right of that back three, and maybe put Flanagan on the left-hand side. But if not, this is what I would go with. Sanderson, Wright and Willis. Now, as the right wing back into his proper position, well, not necessarily his proper position, but he's been playing there a long time, and he's done very well there, Luke O'Nien. And then left-hand side, of course, Denver Hume. Now in the middle, this is where I've changed it up a lot. Usually we're seeing Power, Ledbetter and Scowen. And Power, I've already said my piece on Power. I don't think he's good enough. I think he's a bystander. The game just passes him by. He doesn't add anything to the game. And yes, granted, he scored in the last game, but we don't see anywhere near enough of that. And then for the remainder of the game, he becomes, like I say, a passenger. And we don't see him, he doesn't contribute, he doesn't tackle. There's very little he offers to the side. Whereas if we have Ledbetter in there, sitting in front of the back line, feeding the likes of Dan Neil and Elliot Embleton. Elliot Embleton, of course, he only played his first 90 minutes the other week against Fleetwood. But if we did start him, even just give him an hour, him and Dan Neil, they're very positive players. They look up, they run at teams, and they make things happen. And that's why I believe we need Parkinson to start trusting the youth. And it's ridiculous because there's things like the whole Aidan McGeady situation. he said that the reason McGeady isn't in the squad at the moment is because he wants to bring youth through, and he thinks McGeady's, he's past it. Well, if that's the case, then where is the youth then? You haven't been using the youth, Parky, so start using them. We have Dan Neil, who's a very, very promising player at our disposal, and you're not using him. So I would have Dan Neil, Embleton in there, and have Maguire, who can either sit up alongside Charlie White, or he can come deep like he does, or pick the ball up off the wings, take it down the channels. And I think that's a very, very decent, solid 11 in my opinion. And I don't think Dan Neil or Embleton would allow that midfield to be taken on so easily. Because Dan Neil, when I've been watching him, not only is he very, very technically gifted, he's quite tenacious as well. He doesn't mind getting stuck in at all. Same with Embleton. Embleton, I think, is just another level, in my opinion. If he does get given the game time, I think he will show what he's capable of. So that would be my preferred starting 11. But now, if you are being more realistic, we're not going to see that, are we? We're probably going to see the likes of Power in there, Scown as well. Again, Scown I don't necessarily mind, but Power, he just kind of anchors his back because he's just so negative. Scown, you can see at times that he wants to break forward, but it's almost as if it's been drilled into his head and ingrained in his mind by Parkhurst. Like, I know quickly, no, I need to go backwards, I need to go sideways, get to the wingers, even if there is ample space to move in front of him, should I say. So I do think just the sort of rawness of likes of Dan Neil, Embleton as well, I think that'd really, really help us. But that's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen. We're not going to see Dan Neil. Parky doesn't trust the youth, like I just said. We're not going to see those players. So if we do stick with the normal starting 11 and we play the way we did against MK Dons, my prediction for this game is, unfortunately, it's the first time I'm going to predict a loss this season. I don't like doing it, but I just think we're going to struggle. If we only rely on that plan A, then that's the only plan that Parky has. I can see this being a 3-1 loss in favour, of course, of Doncaster, because they do have someone like Whiteman who can pick out a pass and run that midfield, and our midfield is so unbelievably soft. So we do need some energy in there, the likes of Neil or Embleton, to make things happen, because without that, there's no point in the midfield being there. Do you know what I mean? There's absolutely no point. So for me, yeah, like I say, 3-1 loss. Hopefully it's not, of course. I'll never hope or I'll never wish that Sunderland lose, but that is just my prediction right now. Also, it has been announced that as of this weekend, the EFL are allowing 5 substitutions, which, if anything, I just sniggered at, because I can just imagine now 5 subs going on with 5 minutes to go, which would just pointless, if anything. But we'll see how Parkinson does work around that. Will he maybe bring on a couple at half-time if things aren't going well, and then he still has 3 left? Remains to be seen. Maybe that'll make him improve with his substitutions and the way he decides his substitutions. Again, that remains to be seen. But yeah, so that's pretty much my preview for the game. 3-1 loss, unfortunately. Hopefully I'm wrong. I think if he does start using the likes of Neil and Embleton, we'll see a completely different side, and we won't have to rely on the wings so much, because at the minute in midfield with Power, Leppert and Scowen, against certain teams it works, it's fine, not pretty, but we get away with it and we scrape wins. But anyone who has a slightly decent midfield themselves, they get overrun, and so easily, because they're soft as shit. So I just want that little bit of energy and rawness in the likes of Neil and Embleton. And I think we'll see some really, really good football with them in that team, but we're just not going to see it, are we? But anyway, down below, you guys let me know what you think the score is going to be in the comments, and of course what you just think of the game in general. But if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already, to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.